Shabbat Shalom, everybody. It's Rashbi, Rabbi Stephen, with my 10-minute Torah commentary. And thank you all again for watching. So, Happy New Year, folks. So, Shabbat Shalom. This Friday and Saturday, of course, is Shabbat. And Slichot is still kind of up in the air. I know we said we'd do it Saturday night. The evening, Motzei Shabbat, evening of, the 8th? And then, of course, the 9th is Rosh Hashanah. What we may do, and I still have to check on this, is whether we can do Salichot right after Shabbat services on Saturday. And the reason we say that is because, you come Friday, you leave. You come Saturday, you leave. You come Saturday night, you leave. And then guess what? Sunday is Rosh Hashanah, is Erev Rosh Hashanah. So there's a lot of services going on. There's also a question as to whether I'm going to be doing the kid-friendly Shabbat services, the Shachrit. I may just go ahead and not do it this particular month because there's a lot of services coming up. I want the kids there. I don't want to kind of overburden them. So, and as a lot of you have seen already, the kid-friendly Sabbath service, Shabbat morning service, 9:45 to 11:15. This is now on the second Saturday. That way it's staggered. We have the Tat Shabbat the first Friday at 5:45. We'll do the kid-friendly Shabbat Shachrit, the Saturday morning service, the second Saturday, and then, of course, Friday, the third Friday, will be the family service. So that's the way it's going to be. And by the way, we had a couple of new people for Tat Shabbat. I know a lot of you missed it, but we'll see you again in October. It was a lot of fun. We're starting to get rolling again with our school year. So I would like to encourage you folks to come. The point of service is it's not to burden you. It's not to say you have to come. It's rather to give you spiritual inspiration. And if you're not feeling that, if you come to a Friday night or a Saturday morning and you're not coming away with this feeling of inspiration and feeling good and, feeling that connection with Hashem, that's mine. That's on me. It really is. So please let me know. If there's something that I can be doing better or more or less, I want to know that because I'm here to serve you. As Irv Michelin said, it's all about customer service. You're our customers. So, of course, if you say, gee, can we have a pepperoni pizza afterwards? No, right? There are limits based on halacha. But at the same time, we want to do within reason what's good. And that's why we've designed the services based on your likings. We have a guitar. Thank you to Alina. I don't know that I thanked her enough for coming in with her violin. And of course, Jack Mangan, he plays the guitar. He's going to be bringing a bass. And we want to make this enjoyable. And we find that music and musical instruments helps the inspiration. Okay? So, Friday, I was honored to do a funeral for someone, kind of friends of friends, but we had met at a Havurah. This is what is a Havurah? A lot of larger temples had them, and we used to have them at Bnei Chaim when we had 120, 130, 140 members. And they're little clusters, little groups that people of the same demographic can get together and be social. So if you're a 30-something with young kids, you get into a Havurah with similar people, you have similar interests, and that way in a larger congregation, you don't get lost in the crowd. If you happen to be like me, retirement age is 60-something, a 70-something, we have things in common. We grew up during the same time. There were things we had in common. We get together. We can be social. It's kind of the social aspect of a synagogue. So I was honored to be asked to do the funeral for this gentleman. A wonderful guy when I met him. And during the funeral service, if you look in the rabbi's manual or in the Orthodox Art Scroll prayer book, there is an order of a service. So we put, this time, it felt real appropriate to put a different prayer in there at the beginning. There is a prayer that we say in our morning blessings. When we first start praying in the morning, the soul with which you gave me is pure. You created it, you formed it, you breathe it into me, and you will reclaim it from me in the time to come, but you will return it to me in another time, in the world to come, all right? And we kind of felt that was very appropriate for the situation. We may start integrating that into the funeral service or memorial service because it sends a very important message. It sends a message that God created us all in His image. Now, since God is not a physical being, what image was that? It had to be the spiritual image. And we know that Hashem is immortal. Therefore, there is a part of us that is immortal. And what better time to say that than during a funeral when people are grieving and they're missing the person, and they're having a hard time coming to grips with that fact that that person is no longer there. So it's, I think, anyway, as a rabbi, a good place to put that particular prayer outside of the morning service. Now, how does this relate to this week's Torah portion? This week's Torah portion is Nitzavim. It is the second or third to last portion, because we are finishing up the Torah. We're coming into Simchat Torah when we re-roll the scrolls and we start from Genesis again. This particular portion, Nitzavim, means you are standing here before Moshe Rabbeinu. It is the last day of his life. And he says, all of you that are standing here and all of you that are not standing here. Think about that. Think of that, how profound that is. All of you that are not standing there. About whom is he talking? Is he talking about the people that came before, like Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Rachel, Rebecca, Sarah, Rebecca, Rachel, and Leah, and the 12 tribes and the 12 sons and all the 70 souls that went down to Egypt? Is he talking about us, the people that would come after? Because what the rabbis and the sages say is that we were all there at Mount Sinai. We were all there when Moses was saying goodbye, when he was giving his farewell address. All of us was there. Every single one of us. In physical presence or in spiritual presence. Now, that creates an interesting question. Were our souls yet to inhabit a body? Or is this just another discussion or description of the transmigration of the soul, which we call reincarnation? Were all of us in a life now, whereas back then we were in an earlier life, and we were all reborn as Jews, and now here we are today, reading the Chumash that describes the situation that we're all at. Here's an interesting thing about that, okay? As we're approaching the high holidays, the days of all, what are we doing? We're reflecting back on ourselves. We come into each life, and this is my belief. We believe in transmigration of the soul. Now, if you look at some of the commentaries of the Chumash that we have, the Sansino edition, that was edited by the late, great Dr. Rabbi Hertz, late chief rabbi of the British Empire. He did an essay. There are different essays there, and I don't know if it's in the later versions. It's the one that I have when I was bar mitzvah back from, ready for this, 1968. But the reason that we Jews don't really discuss transmigration of the soul or reincarnation is because you're here, it's now. This is what your attention is on, the here and the now. Yes, there's a world to come. Perhaps there was a world that was. Maybe we're all there at the same time. But we have to focus our attention on what's going on right now, because that's why we have the commandments. They're not for tomorrow or yesterday. They're for right now. It's how to behave right now. And as we go into the days of awe, the days between Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, and we ask Hashem to inscribe us for another year in the book of life, then we think about our behavior for the previous year. We think about how we were all standing on the Mount Sinai when Moses was about to go to his beyond. We think about us being at Mount Sinai when he received the 10 Commandments. And we rededicate ourselves to Shuvah. We return to Torah. We return to the commandments. We return to what is right. And the days of awe, those 10 days, are there to reflect on that. Now, somebody asked the question, good question. If you hurt somebody during the year, if you insult them, if you do something, you have to wait a year? It's got to mingle, it's got to fester inside of them for a whole year before you can apologize? No, of course you apologize right away. And by the way, some of the verbiage that we use on Yom Kippur is the same thing that we say for our daily prayers during the week. Pardon me for I have sinned, forgive me for I have erred. Or maybe it's the other way around. So we're always asking for forgiveness. But remember, in order to get forgiveness from Hashem, you have to get forgiveness. You have to ask from your fellow person, from your fellow man or woman, whom you thought you might have insulted. And this is going to be the contents, the subject of one of the sermons, because how easy is it to apologize? It's very difficult. You have to be vulnerable. You have to put yourself in a position of, well, we'll talk about that. Be there for the high holidays. So, again, we're always reflecting on our behavior, and these times is the time when we really focus on our behavior, when we really look at it and say, have we been the best we can be? Right? Do we think that maybe we apologized to somebody, they didn't accept it right away? You go again. My great-grandmother, as my mother used to say, used to ask somebody, would you like done? And they say no. She waits a couple of minutes. Would you like? She asks again, would you like? And they say yeah. And they say, why did you ask him again or them again? They said no. She says, some people want to be asked twice. That's the old Jewish homilies, for you. The old Jewish mama, Yiddish mama, right? So, looking forward to seeing you for high holidays. Erev Rosh Hashanah, Sunday evening, the 9th, 7 o'clock. We'll have 2 days of Rosh Hashanah this year. Yes, we're considering not having the second day. But they will both start at 9:30. We'll have Shabbat Shuvah the following weekend. We will do Yom Kippur. Erev Yom Kippur is Tuesday, the 18th. It will be, we'll start about 6:15. Yom Kippur will be 9:30 on Wednesday, the 19th. And we're also going to do an Erev Sukkot Sunday night. And we're also going to do an Erev Shemini Atzeret / Simchat Torah. There'll be a Yizkor Yom Kippur, and there'll be a Yizkor for that Simchat Torah. Shabbat Shalom. See you in Temple.